Surging demand and high growth rates are making for all sorts of new partnerships. But is there an aspect of trust that really needs to be built upon as emerging countries engage with one another? I'm going to put that question to Abdul Matlub Ahmed, who's chairman of the Nitol-Niloy Group and president of India-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce and Industry. India and Bangladesh, the engagement on the trade front, well, it goes back decades in a sense. But to your mind, as these rules of engagement take shape, what's the most pressing concern for you? You're a businessman, you're doing business. At the end of the day, you're running a business. What's the most pressing concern for you?
Well, first and foremost, as any business would like it, they would like to do the business for at least a certain definite time. Now, India had always a tariff wall against imports, and so it was true for Bangladesh. So, India-Bangladesh Chamber had fought for last 7 years in many seminars and ministerial meetings in order to put sense into the system that an emerging country neighbor needs market access to an emerging country leader. And ultimately, India gave Bangladesh in November 2011 an absolutely one-way zero duty imports from Bangladesh into India. So, we were all excited. The reason that I meant to mention here today is recently India has taken a decision only a few days back, 3-4 days back, that in order to help the domestic industries, there is now a differential duty of 15%, meaning that there was a domestic duty applicable for both imports and local manufacturers. 3-4 days back, for the local manufacturers it was removed, but for the imported goods it is still there.
So, in essence, you know, the preferential access that was accorded in 2011 to Bangladesh garments, for instance, has now been diluted.
Yes, this is only one of the cases.
This is just
what
one
I'm
example.
trying to tell you.
But you actually used a very interesting sort of phrase, which I just want to reflect on, which is that, you know, one emerging market neighbor and its relationship with an emerging market leader. And so there is an expectation out there. Do you see, for instance, in your role as president of the India-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce, do you see enough of India willing to listen?
Yeah, yes. Actually, India has promised one-way duty-free, which you don't see anywhere in the world. So, this was a very good gesture. The other thing, there are some non-tariff barriers.
Right.
India openly declared that we have taken a policy to remove all non-tariff barriers with Bangladesh and India. So, these are very good gestures which is expected from a leader. So, these emerging markets which is coming up in front, they will all be looking towards India and China. They are the two market leaders around us.
But what about opportunities in what we're calling the growth net, which really goes beyond the BRICS nations? Are you seeing real opportunities in some of the countries that are under discussion, whether it's Malaysia or in Indonesia or Mexico or South Africa, you know, in Latin America? Are there real opportunities that you're seeing?
Well, I'll place it like this. There are opportunities, but provided that these countries have an understanding first. When we see an opportunity, we go there, but suddenly the country increases the duty or puts some barriers. So, we should have a very clear understanding among these growth net nations that whatever we do, we will follow a certain rules and regulations. It's coming back to your trust case, but basically what it means that the trade policies in all these countries must be common. Like you see in Europe, how merged they have become. You can take a truck from Italy to France anywhere you want. There is no question asked. But in these emerging countries, we are still in that.
You're navigating basically slightly volatile policy territory.
Exactly, and we were never used to such easy access things. So, we need a lot of training, we need a lot of understanding each other, and we must also see that there is a benefit for all the parties around. I feel there is a big opportunity, and this growth net is a very good idea. Yes, it is true that the entire business order is shifting towards these areas, but whether we will be able to capture that opportunity depends how our political leaders act. And this is a very big question again. Can all the political leaders
act in a cohesive manner? You talked about, political leadership, and it really brings me to the political environment in Bangladesh, because that too is a concern for many trading partners as they enter new geographies and new territories. The environment right now in Bangladesh and the way it's affecting perception and real business on the ground.
Well, I would say post 1 month from today, everything was fine, and we are getting a lot of inquiries and investors coming in. We have got a few joint venture partnerships with India coming up in Bangladesh. What has happened in last 1 month is the government is trying to rectify what it couldn't do 42 years back. It's trying to clean the nation of some of those judgments they should have given earlier. As a businessman and as an industrialist, while I appreciate the government's view, while I appreciate that yes, it is needed for the society, but what we are really worried about is it has created a chaos. Today, our businesses can't run because there are hartals, strikes after strikes. There are killings, there are police actions, and there are resistance. Now, the entire country is now having Rakha committees. There are small committees to safeguard each other, and both the parties are doing it. So, from the industrial point of view,
the political uncertainty is hurting business.
Our partners who are abroad here, they start worrying about the country, and it sets me back. So, what I wish to do is, what I wish personally is, what is happening is they should bring this to an end as soon as possible. The sooner they do it, the better we are in a position. Otherwise, participating in GrowthNet will not lead us anywhere unless there is peace in our country.
Well, on that somber note, Mr. Ahmed, thanks very much for your time.